Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another patch notes, thoughts and analysis video for Eve Echoes. Today is Tuesday the 23rd of March. Being a Tuesday, that means it's followed by Wednesday, or at least that's how weeks work where I'm from. Wednesday, of course, is our usual weekly maintenance. The servers will be down from 8 AM UTC to 10 AM UTC, which, if like me, that's 10 in the morning till 12 noon in Central African time, which is probably the most awkward time to have the servers go down possible, but hey, there we go. This is why I make content ahead of schedule. Thanks, NetEase, for putting it right in the middle of my content creating day. Anyway, as usual with a patch notes video, there's going to be no flashy graphics at all for this one. It's just going to be me sitting here sharing my personal thoughts and opinions on tomorrow's patch notes. Now, interestingly enough, I'm not even going to be opening up the app this time around. Joseph, our community support manager for Eve Echoes, has sent me the patch notes ahead of time as a text document, so it's going to be even more basic and less flashy than before. Hence, you can see I'm just sitting here on my basic phone screen and recording with that because, yay, high-tech ability here. Yes, everything I do is done entirely using just my Asus ROG Phone 3. Huzzah and yay for me. Anyway, so today's video we're going to go over tomorrow's patch notes, talk about what those changes are going to be. This is only a minor maintenance. The big patch that's coming, the balance patch, that is of course in May, and we should be getting a test server at some point in April, so we can get a sneaky peek ahead of time as to some of those changes and maybe change a few of them a bit more, or just make some tweaks to that balance patch ahead of time. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Today we're going to be looking at just the patch notes for tomorrow's update, which is the Wednesday the 24th of March update. Anyway, so without further ado, let's jump right into having a look at this little text document and what this all means. So, optimizations. Part 1. Optimized skin icons for all ships. This, as far as I'm concerned, is the little hexagon icons for skins there. Some of these are really weird and don't really showcase the colour scheme that is actually being displayed in the skins themselves. So hopefully then we're going to be getting some changes here that will make those look a little bit more obvious so you can see what the skin actually looks like directly from those icons, which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing those. Number 2, the default display for star charts is now based on the last display mode used. Fantastic. I don't give a crap the basic default for star maps. All I want to see is what ships were destroyed along my route in the last hour. And it really annoys me that every time I open up a star chart, I then have to tap onto the little pie chart, then change it to, you know, ships destroyed in the last hour, and then go back through it all there. Now, whenever I open the star chart, it's going to default to whichever one was last used, which for me is probably going to be ships destroyed in the last hour. It saves me some taps. It means I can sit there and just look at the information I want. I am happy with that change. It's minor, but it's a nice quality of life change. Text in the chat field no longer gets deleted when failing to send a corp mail. This also is fairly minor unless you are actually one of the people who uses it. I cannot tell you how many times I've written out a lengthy corp mail, hit send, only for it to go, sorry, you used an invalid character, or you went one character over the limit. So we're going to delete the entire thing and force you to rewrite it all over again. In fact, I actually started typing them up in an app on my phone and then pasting them across for exactly that purpose. Awesome, but now if that does, you know, happen, that you go to send a corp mail and it errors or whatever, it's still going to be there and you can edit it to whatever you need to. That's a really nice little change for those of us who do still use the corp mail function. I know it's one of those that doesn't often get used by a lot of corporations, which is kind of sad because I think it's a great way to keep in contact with the corporation members and just have a bit of fun, congratulate people on recent battles, talk about programs and that you're working on, and just all kinds of new content and crazy things that are happening there. So it's really quite exciting. So if you're in Catskull, do expect to have a few more like of the corporation mails coming through from time to time now. Number 4, total item value displayed in a kill mail is now based on the estimated market price of that week. I'm not sure what it was based on before then. I thought it was based on the estimated market value. I don't know if this means that, you know, if you go back to look at previous ones, they were changing based on the current threat, or now they're going to just be based entirely on what they were valued at when they went down. So, for example, a Condor 2 Condor Intercept or whatever, may be worth 100 million today, and then next week it changes to 150 million, so a kill mail I took last week is now showing as 150 million when it was only worth 100 million at the time. I don't know. I'm assuming that means now it's just going to be locked to whatever week it was killed in, and that isn't going to change going forward, and it's just going to be that little bit more accurate, which is a good thing. You know, it's minor, but it's a good thing. Number 5, added a button for insurance in the station menu. This, for me, actually, is a really nice quality of life change. When the insurance first came out, I'll be honest, I didn't really use it for a long time because I wasn't worried about losing any particular ships. Then I lost a Tornado 2, a Rupture Guardian, and a Thrasher 2 Interdictor all in the space of about 4 hours, and decided that, yeah, okay, maybe paying for some insurance might be useful on some of these ships, and I couldn't exactly figure out, ideally, how to do this properly. You know, I had to sit there and remind myself how to go through all the menus to find something to pre-insure it. Like, it's easy to, you know, spend insurance points on a ship that you've lost, but trying to do it ahead of time is a bit more confusing and fiddly. So having it as a button in a station is great. It means the system there is a bit more front and center, and people can actually start using it ahead of time, which can only be a good thing. Now, I know that people are still complaining about insurance. If you haven't heard my opinions on insurance already, I'm not going to go into the length of it here, but the too long didn't read or whatever. The TLDR of this is basically the previous system was atrocious. The ability to just say to customer support, yeah, I lost a ship, please can I have it back? And they go, yeah, sure, here it is, was horrific. That was really bad for industry. The new insurance system isn't perfect, that's why it's getting an update in April-May, and why it's got another update again towards the end of the year. It's not a perfect system, it's going to be updated, but it is still a damn sight better than it was before. The TLDR is that it's now magicking up fewer ships. There are people who are literally completing the buy orders for insurance. That is their entire industry now, and they're making bank doing it. So if you're crying that, oh, insurance has killed industry, you're just not paying attention. It may have killed your particular branch of industry, but that's just you have not adapted to market forces. And if you're crying that, oh, it takes 70% of the plex you use is destroyed, 30% of the plex you use is destroyed. Well, yeah, when I buy a skin or a mega using plex, 100% of it's destroyed. Be, you know, happy that 70% of it goes back into the market for other people to buy. That's awesome. It's not a perfect system, but it's still better than we had before. So giving people the option to actually find this and use it on their ships, to me, can only be a good thing. And now that I've said all of that, watch as my comment section once again blows up with people telling me that I'm completely wrong about insurance, and I'm the one that's being irrational about it. Number 6. Initiating a personal asset delivery now requires a manual confirmation by typing confirm. Awesome. Anything where you can accidentally screw yourself over, I think should have that additional gate where you go, right, okay, actually typing confirm. It gives you the prompt to just double check what you're doing, and to me, that's really useful. Number 7, the recommended purchase amount of insurance points has increased to 110% of the estimated value to avoid frequent alerts due to fluctuating estimates. That's, again, cool. It means that insurance is a little bit more expensive up front, but it's a nice quality of life change in order to manage that. Number 8, added an explanation for non-compensable cases on the compensation page. If you were just being told, sorry, that ship's not compensatable, now it'll actually explain why it's not compensatable. And again, more information is always a good thing. Number 9, added a button to the insufficient insurance points prompt that directs you to the insurance points purchase page. This, oh my goodness, that's alliteration there from hell. This is kind of like when you sit there and you open up something and you try to buy it and it says, oh, you don't have enough ISK, do you want to buy some Plex? Or you don't have enough Plex, do you want to buy some ore? That's really cool. It's a nice way of sort of directing you if you're too stupid to figure out how to do it yourself. Or rather than stupid, let's be fair, just too ignorant. It's now right there front and center and allows you to direct to exactly where you need to go. Number 10, change the rules for sharing mission locations. Now you can share the mission destination link in the chat channel, even when you're not in a mission destination system. Other players can initiate autopilot to the target system by tapping on the link. This, again, is a really nice quality of life change. If you're like me and you're flying destroyers and frigates, you know those ships that people tell you absolutely in no way at all possible could ever do any of the storyline missions and things like that. No way, that's only for cruisers and battle cruisers and the real ships of the game. Screw you and your tier 9 destroyer doing all this content. That's clearly not possible. Now I can actually invite them to to join me at the location without me having to get there, then mention it, then wait for them to turn up. Now we can all do it together, and I can show up in my destroyer and make everyone look really bad whilst I clear storyline missions in a Thrasher. So yeah, that's a nice change there. It basically means that you can say, I'm heading to this destination, does anyone want to join me in this particular mission or encounter, rather than having to get all the way to that system, then, say, come join me, or rather than having to get them to search through the star map to find out where the heck they're supposed to be going. And of course, once they get there, they've still got to actually warp into the anomaly, whereas this is going to allow you to set that autopilot ahead of time. It's just great for those people who do want to be doing that kind of content in a group, to actually coordinate themselves that little bit better. Really, really nice. Number 11, added a secondary confirmation when donating ISK to the corporation wallet. This, again, is surprisingly useful. I have accidentally donated billions when I intended to donate hundreds of millions instead, so it's nice to know that you can just, again, have that, are you sure you've typed in the right amount? Because let's be honest, whoever's idea it was to have everything in ISK ultimately work out in millions and billions was just not really thinking straight. I love the concept that my ship costs billions of ISKs and things like that, but my goodness, you have to sit there and count the bloody zeros on everything. Sit there on a tiny little phone screen going, right, 1, 2, 3, on the decimal points to make sure that you've got the right amount and you're not accidentally sending 100 million when you're supposed to be sending 10 million. 1 0 makes a big difference, and if you're an idiot and accidentally fail to notice that there's a decimal point there, and you sometimes send a billion instead of 10 million, well, that's even worse. So it's nice to have that little prompt to just go, whoa, 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 please check your zeros, make sure you're donating the right amount, because there's nothing worse than donating a whole load to the corp wallet and then having to DM one of the officers to say, hey, look, I accidentally did that 10 times more than I was supposed to. Please, could you reimburse me the 90% of what I donated? Now you don't have to go through that super embarrassing thing. You just get that little bit of extra option there to not cock up in the first place. 12, and I really like this one, the safe log off option is now available when you are able to warp your ship. The safe log-off timer has been adjusted to 5 seconds, which is awesome. That's a nice quality of life change for a mobile game. It means you don't have to sit there staring at your phone going, yes, come on, please log off, please log off, please log off. You now just tap it and then 5 seconds later, it's done. We all know that us mobile gamers have very short attention spans, so the fact that it's now down to 5 seconds can only be a good thing. Players under the following states cannot log off safely. While you're warping, well, yes, you need to reach your destination first. Having an active criminal timer, that's why it's called a safe log off, so that you don't just blast someone and then log off in 5 seconds rather than having to face, the consequences of your actions. Entering a station, because you're basically on a loading screen. Self-destructing, again, what, you're going to log in next time and just blow up instantly because it held on to your self-destruct? No, decide whether or not you want to safe log out or self-destruct. You shouldn't be doing both at any time. And within the window of invulnerability after leaving a station. Again, dock up or be somewhere else. It's simple. These all to me make sense as to why you can't log out during those times. They're nice and easy situations that are fairly obvious. If you want to log out and you want that faster time, just dock up and then you get the standard log off anyway, or find yourself a nice safe point without a criminal timer and log off in 5 seconds. It's a nice positive change that means those of us who have bookmarks all over the place can just quickly warp to a bookmark and log off in 5 seconds if, for example, you need to make a phone call, or the baby started crying, or your parents have just arrived for dinner and you'd completely forgotten, suddenly need to defrost some chicken, make an entire casserole in literally 30 seconds before they realise that you're an absolute waste of human flesh and are unable to keep your proper promises, etc. This is now a nice little change that allows you to do all of those things. Well, okay, maybe not cook a casserole in 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure anything that can do that is probably unsafe for human consumption. Number 13, improved the button layout in TIPS. I refuse to say tips, it's all in capitals, it's clearly TIPS. Allowing players to find frequently used buttons more easily. I think this is like when Okay, I'm actually not sure. I'm honestly not sure on this one. I think it's when you're doing things like going into like your menu and you're using registered fittings and saving button layouts, that kind of thing. It's already all there. This one really confuses me. Joseph, what the hell's going on here? Is this a whole feature of the game that I've completely neglected? How am I not aware of what this is? This sounds like it's a fairly useful thing. Button layout and tips allowing players to find frequently used buttons more easily. Are we talking about things like when you open up your AI and you have like the Condor's guide to the galaxy and that kind of thing? Is that what we're talking about here? What on earth's going on here? Number 13. Lucky number 13. For crying out loud, of course it's 13. Someone tell me, what am I missing here? Is there an entire system of the game that I'm just completely unaware of it even exists? Please let me know. I'm going crazy here. Number 14, removed ship recovery access in the customer service center. Huzzah, it is finally gone. The thing that everyone should have been complaining about, but no one really was, and instead waited until insurance came along and then complained about the improvement instead of the original system, well, it is finally gone. Now you cannot just open up customer service and go, yes, I'd like my ship back, please. Now you have to go through a full bug report, which means the bug report team get it, and they're going to check if you're actually, telling the truth here and it was a genuine bug, or if you've just been an idiot jumping a tier 3 destroyer into something, or worse, jumping like a tier 5 destroyer like a Thresher fleet issue into something like a tier 7 scout anomaly. You've just been an idiot and you don't want to have to pay for all those fittings back. Ultimately, this is where we're getting that insurance system coming back into situation. If it's not insured, we are not creating a new ship for you. No, this is a game about the player driven market, although again that was never something that EVE Echoes really advertised. Let's be completely honest, EVE Online really goes the extra mile to let you know that everything you do is a completely player-driven economy. EVE Echoes doesn't. It's never claimed to be a completely player-driven economy. More that it's an MMO that just crafting and selling on the market are very viable ways of making money. That's, nice, but it's never been a front and center thing. But either way, I'm kind of getting off point there, and again I'm going to anger some industrialists, and my subscriber count is already looking in danger of dropping with the amount I've been talking about insurance recently. But basically, it's nice to see that the whole thing that was genuinely magicking up ships out of the ether unfairly is now gone. That is a big win for industry. Whether or not you choose to celebrate that is up to you, but there it is, front and center. The way to just magic up a ship because you done goofed is now gone. Now you have to either spend Plex or buy a new ship off the market, whichever you can actually do reliably. Industry, that is a big help to you. Updated the estimated prices according to the current market transaction records. So again, we're getting a nice update here to estimated prices. This affects things like audits and insurance and helps you work out exactly how much a ship is worth, how much you need to spend on insurance points to insure it, and ultimately whether or not an audit is going to be triggered based on the price that you're paying for something. These updates are always welcome, and it's nice to see that NetEase is still taking the time to do these manually, rather than just automating it and letting the computer figure it out. They're also going in manually and checking whether or not those need adjusting. That's really good and healthy to see, and I'm glad NetEase is still doing so. Number 16, the autopilot confirmation will now only pop up after the transaction has completed. This is especially useful for folks like me who are sometimes on very dodgy internet, yay for Zimbabwean LTE-based internet. Basically, there are times when I would buy something off the market and it goes, awesome, let's autopilot you to that station. So I go, cool, yeah, let's autopilot me to that station so I can pick it up. I get to the station only to find the item isn't there because the transaction failed, but only after the autopilot had set. Like the item had already been sold, someone else bought it at the same time, and they, the lucky bastards, got it ahead of me. So I arrive at a station waiting for my new modules or ship or whatever, only to find there's nothing there, and I'm at the wrong station now and I need to pay a whole load more and fly to a different star. You can imagine the absolute ache in the groin that is. So yeah, it's nice that it now just waits until the transaction is confirmed before saying, cool, now that you have definitely 100% totally successfully bought the item, do you want to go pick it up? Nice little quality of life change. Bug fixes. These can always be a good fun laugh. Fixed an issue where the hangar would not be delivered after a corporation citadel was destroyed. Sorry, GenFed, were you guys losing all of your loot and your stations, or was that someone else who complained about this bug? I'm sure there's someone in GenFed right now sitting there saying, actually, we didn't want all that loot that got destroyed when we lost the citadel. The whole point was to distract you long enough to, steal your intumescent belts. Honest. Or something. Yeah, I know I rat on GenFed a lot. It's funny, okay? Laugh with me. But seriously though, genuinely, that must have really sucked to lose a station, and I know Golden Horde and indeed Void have lost stations as well, to lose a station only for the stuff that was in it not to be delivered and be completely unrecoverable. That's harsh. That's salt in the wound. That's not just salt in the wound, that's rubbing sulfur into the wound. Yoof. So now, good, that's being fixed. If you're, dumb enough to lose your station, well, at least you can still recover any loot that was inside it before the poor thing got popped. Number 2, fixed an issue where the weapon timer would sometimes not appear while attacking Capsuleer outposts. Awesome, so you could attack a Capsuleer outpost and just warp off to Concord when other people turned up, and if they shot at you, well, they've got a crime timer and you just don't, so or I don't know what was going on there. I don't tend to attack Capsuleer outposts, mainly because, as I've said before, my internet doesn't allow me to go on comms and fly with pilots as well. I can't play the game and do comms, so I tend not to fly in big fleets. I do sometimes turn up in big fleets, usually under one of my ults so that I don't get popped instantly. But yeah, I've honestly never been in a Capsuleer outpost fight, so I didn't know that there were times when a weapon timer wouldn't trigger if you shot the Capsuleer outpost. Makes sense though that of course if you're firing your weapons, a weapon timer should trigger regardless, so good little bug fix there. Third then, fixed an issue that caused irregular activation times for some models in certain situations. Again, I'm not entirely certain what this one was. A lot of the bug fixes, I find out that it was even a bug when it's fixed, which is actually a really nice thing. Not to say that, I don't know that there are bugs in the game. Of course I know there are bugs in the game. I get people DM me that, oh my god, this just happened to me all the time, and it's nice to see that those do get addressed. But out of, say, 10 bug fixes, I will mainly have heard of one, which means they're fixing bugs that are really, really minor as well, that not a lot of people were getting. Fixed an issue that caused irregular activation times for some modules in certain situations. Is this the whole thing that, like you've seen in some of my videos when I lag, I activate a module and it takes 3 seconds before it actually switches on? Or is this that sometimes you would activate a module and it would actually be active for longer or shorter than it should be? Either way, nice that they're fixing it. I didn't even know it was an issue, but nice to know that it was fixed. Anyway, so there we are. There are all our little notifications there for today, our patch notes coming out for tomorrow. Let me know what that number 13 is there, the button layout in tips, allowing players to find frequently used buttons more easily, but there's some interesting stuff there. Nice to know I won't be losing corporation mails all the time. The star charts are going to open on what I actually want them to be. Insurance is getting a couple of tweaks here and there that make it a little bit easier to use and not quite so obscure and, keeps the prices actually fairly constant. The safe log off option is a really nice quality of life change for mobile. I'm fairly happy with this. There's nothing overly game changing here that makes you go, oh my goodness, how did we live without this? But it's all positive changes. Anyway folks, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you think of these patch notes? Is there something here that you really think what the hell, why are they doing that? Is there something that you're like, oh, finally they fixed this? And is there something, well of course there is, are there things on here that you're thinking, my goodness, why is this missing? Why have they still not fixed this? If you've got any particular bugs, I want to hear about what kind of crazy bugs you guys are encountering. I want more people to send me their bug reports. I just want to know what kind of crazy stuff happens to people in Eve Echoes when I'm not watching. Anyway folks, thank you for listening to this one right the way to the end. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comment section down below, although I'm sure plenty of you will tell me that, oh, you did this wrong, or you said that thing wrong, or you're an idiot and got that wrong. It's the internet. I'm kind of getting used to it at this point. It's getting tiresome sometimes with some of the comments that I keep getting. But other than that, yeah, I love hearing your thoughts and opinions. Anyway folks, thank you for watching right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.